would say. I mean, so far we've gone quite nerdy into some kind of deep techie versions of design systems. But on the other hand, there's also a very light-hearted way of being able to build design systems. Design systems should also be fun, in my opinion, as well. And I think the next example from Duolingo is a great example of that.
Yes, Duolingo, like the app, which you probably know from your app store. So it's a very handy and easy to use app to learn languages. I guess they were one of the first apps who solved it in such a nice way. And apart from having a great product and also nice looking product, I really enjoy using the app. They also delivered a on-point design system. They're calling it Duolingo brand. So again, it's not only about components, it's also about their identity, their brand, and how it should be delivered to customers. And two things which we find very interesting is this writing section and also the illustration section. So writing section, maybe before we dive into that, we maybe have to mention that since a couple of years, design systems doesn't only include components or design specs. It's also quite popular nowadays to also include something like a tone of voice guide in your design systems. So to not only store design values, but also which type of tone, which type of voice you want to use as a brand in your products. Yeah, and they also did that with Duolingo. They have actually a very extensive tone of voice section. And I want to highlight some of the chapters. So again, they introduced the brand and why they're doing it and how they're doing it.
The golden circle. Good old golden circle.
Exactly. But apart from that, they also added something like a brand personality, which we again probably know already from multiple products. But what I find very interesting and also actually a bit funny is they added easy-to-use example on how Duolingo should be perceived from a customer. So they had this example. So for example, if Duolingo would be a celebrity, it would be this guy. If it would be a type of transport, it would be the Vespa. If it would be a particular song, then they picked a song which they think would match with the brand. So this is, I really like those examples, and I think it makes them easy for them to explain the brand especially to new employees. Yes, and second example, something which we already mentioned, is the voice guidelines and the tone guidelines. I think they're very easy to read and easy to understand. They have, of course, sections where they give best practice examples and also how they do not want to use language or some words. They really go into detail in this section and describe it in detail, which I think makes sense because the app itself is mainly about language. And reading and listening, so I guess it's very important for them to cover this topic.
I mean, I think this is something that we talk about a lot as well. Is how important. I think there's the blurring gaps between brand and experience. I think this is something that we try and champion as well a lot. Is that brand is definitely not just your logo. Brand is the entire experience, the conversation that the product or service is engaging with you in, and it makes perfect sense. And I'd love to see how platforms like this or products like this are really blurring the gaps and merging the two things together and creating a complete overall experience.
Definitely, yes. What else we want to show? Maybe I will quickly mention this Duo section, something which I didn't know yet. So they have this character, this bird, as a mascot, and they write like a specific tone of voice guide just for this fellow because it plays a big role within the app. So I found it very interesting and also funny. And apart from tone of voice guidelines, we also want to quickly dive into the illustration sections.
I found this very cool. This is very cool. Yeah.
They didn't only write guidelines on how to write stuff and how to use components. They also wrote a very easy to understand guideline on how to use their illustrations and how to come up with characters, how to apply something like a shading. And they have like this, as you can see, they have these images and very short descriptions next to it. So they talk about the rhythm so that characters doesn't get boring to the user, and that there is like a wide variety of characters and shapes. They also write about simplicity, so they want to use as less shapes as possible. So, for example, 6 shapes, of course, that's too much, too less. It's not enough. But 30 shapes, on the other hand, it's too detailed. So they would recommend something like 15 shapes, which I find a very interesting approach on standardizing something like an illustration. Of course, they have the objects in space section. They talk about shadows, shading, And not only did they cover so much different aspects of the illustrations, I also like how they transport this knowledge to the user or to us as a designer. Because after I scrolled through this page, I really have a good feeling or a good estimation on how I should draw the next illustration for Duolingo. So it works as a very nice onboarding just via scrolling through this page.
Yeah. No, I mean I love it. I mean, definitely we took some, or we've approached it in a similar way on the design system that we've done. But I think Duolingo definitely takes it to another level. It's really, and don't mistake simplicity with ease. It certainly is not easy to break everything down to its complete bare minimum and still make it exciting and fun to use. But I think, we always talk about as well limiting palettes and limiting choices actually open up even more choices that you can make because you're going in the right direction. You're able to again focus on those things, and you can build 1,000 characters on brand instead of 200 off brand and 3 or 4 on brand, and I think that's the beauty of breaking something like this down to its bare bones. All right, okay.